Well, good morning. Welcome back to TwinStick Garage. It's another stupid cold day here in northern Alberta, Canada. I think it's minus 43, minus 44, something like that. It is cold. But like I always say, it's nice and warm in the shop, so let's get to work. Well, on days like this, nothing's working harder than that tube heater. Okay, so picking up where I left off in the last episode, obviously got the ring for the cab hucked in. So now I still need to get the ring for the sleeper, which should be a lot quicker because obviously I'm not replacing cab corners in the sleeper, so I'll go ahead and get that going. And then there's a bunch of little things I want to get working on. I've got actually a couple new tools that I want to try out to see if I can get a new system, a more efficient way of cleaning around the Huck rivets. That's gonna be the plan like it always is. I kind of have a loose idea of what I want to accomplish on my Saturday, and then I just start giving her and see how far I get. All right, so first up, as Blake and I mentioned in the other episode, there is actually drain holes in the inside of the ring. And of course, they're not down here, so they must be hidden up there. So I got the ring in upside down, but no big deal. I can get that corrected quite easily. There's the drain holes at the bottom. Now what I also wanted to do was, Blake showed me a new tool. Where to put it? A deburring tool. So what I can do is drag this along, and it cleans the rough edge off from where I ground this all down. There, something like that. Now, set the ring in place. Now, as Blake was mentioning in the previous episode, setting your center line is of critical importance. So that's basically the center of the ring and the center of the opening. So as long as that stays consistent, that'll set the left and right. And now I need to set the height. So we'll just tack this up in place. And I'll get the tape measure out. Now we were 6.5 inches from the top of the puck, which basically it's the mount for underneath the bunk here. So basically I need to go 6.5 inches from there to the top of the ring. This is where it'd be a lot nicer to have a second set of hands. But unfortunately I'm all by my onesies today. All right, so I really wanted to take my time with making sure that I had the height set properly. And then I also wanted to double check, because I thought there's still a possibility that the ring could be crooked one way or the other. So not only did I centerline the top, I did a double check and I centerlined the ring on the centerline marked the ring, and then centerline marked the opening here between these two things. So I just wanted to make sure that it was lined up, and it turned out that it was. So I'm happy with that. So now what I need to do is I'm going to drill some 1/4 inch holes for the blind rivets, these guys, because of course I have to do a blind rivet on this side because I can't get the Huck gun in behind there. So these will all be blind. Now, good old TwinSticks, he always admits his mistakes, and again, I'm still learning with this big hole conversion. So when I took the original ring out, what I ended up doing was cutting this down even with the metal on the other side, and that was a mistake. I should have left this higher the way it was, because then I would have had more material and it would have been up here closer to where the drain holes are, like it is on this side. and then there would have been more material to drill the hole. It's a little skinny down there. So I'll put those blind rivets in, and like I say, if you're gonna do this at home, try and leave this panel as high as you can because you want as much material here to drill through and huck or rivet into the ring. So with that, I'll go ahead and drill the holes, and then we'll start put that sealant in there. Same stuff I was using last week. It's 3M Marine Adhesive Sealant 5200. I figure if it's good for marine applications, it'll hopefully keep the rainwater out of my truck and out of my bunk. One. And two. Done. Okay, from here on out, it's Huck's. Nothing better than running a Huck gun. Love this thing. So yeah, pretty straightforward. I'm just drilling 3/16 holes using the holes that are already in the ring as a guide. So just punching a hole through the front. And then grabbing a new 3/16 Huck bolt. And then putting on, well, that's an old collar, putting on a new collar. And the gun just slides over all the teeth on the Huck bolt, and then you just pull the trigger. Breaks it off. And while it sucks it in, squeezes the collar, and then breaks it off all in one movement. It's just beautiful. I'm getting some nice squish on the sealant there. So yeah, I'm just kind of trying to work my way up evenly, up and around. And then at the top here, there's a little bit of extra fiberglass. So once the ring is hucked in, I should just be able to take a cutoff disc and go right along and make that perfectly even. Yeah, this is going well. So of course, this is part 4 in the series of how to big hole conversion your old Pete or your old Kenworth. So it's been a bit of work. Of course, I had to go down that rabbit hole of putting new cab quarters in, so that added a little bit of extra information. But if you want to actually do one of these big hole conversions, you can get the entire kit from truckshrouds.com. They'll sell you the ring and the boot and everything you need, and they'll even range the Huck gun. closer. And if you want to know how I started all this, you got to go back about 3 episodes and watch them all in order to get to this point. Okay, let's keep at it, Mark. Almost done. So as you can see, the collar just goes on there. Now to grab the gun and try and hold the camera. Okay. Just taking up the slack and breaks it off. Man, that's slick. Oh yeah, that is nice now that it's all hooked in. And it is solid. This sleeper there's no flexibility in it at all. And I was talking with Blake, and he and I both agree that tying in these thin pieces of aluminum is not really going to add any structural strength or torsional rigidity to this bunk or the cab. So we're going to leave it like that. I mean, the ring is, like I say, that's where the strength comes in. So it's going to be such a treat. A lot of folks have been commenting in this 3 or 4 episode saga to actually finish this ring project, saying, "Oh, you wrecked your truck. It's not going to be original anymore." Come on, this truck hasn't been original since the 90s. It originally had a deep reduction 15 speed. You can see by the little deep reduction switch on the dash, it doesn't go anywhere now. Someone converted it to a 6 and 4. Someone also did a weld cutoff on the back end. You can see the weld on the frame, so it's already been cut off. I got a hold of this truck and I got rid of the old rotten 359 bunk. This is an early 379 bunk. I've got 8-inch straight pipes on it. I mean, this is a customized truck. This is my dream truck. I'm making it exactly the way I want to build it. And one of the things I've always wanted to do is do this big hole conversion, just to give myself more room and more comfort while I'm driving this truck and going down the road. So the only thing that I've noticed though is when I put the seat in at the end of the first episode, I noticed Bostrom seats, they'll go forward about 6 inches, but they only go back about 2. So I'm not really realizing all of the benefit of having this big hole cut out. So what I might do is re-drill those holes and mount it maybe 4 inches farther back. That way my seat can actually slide back into the bunk when this is back in place, and I can fully realize that extra leg room. So yeah, bit of work to get this project done, but it's nothing. I mean, I'm not a professional fabricator by any means. Luckily I had Blake help me with the cab corners, but hopefully you can follow along in these videos. I wouldn't be scared of doing this. If you've got any kind of skills with the tools, you can make this happen. You can do this to your truck as well. Just set the bunk back, take your time, get those center lines, get your measurements, get your height set, and then get cutting. And like I said, reach out to Truck Shrouds. They'll sell you the kit, they'll rent you the gun, they'll get you all the hucks and collars you need, and you can go ahead and do this to your truck. So with that, I guess what I should do is, you can see there's this little edge here, and my OCD is bugging me on that. So I'm going to trim that out and yeah, clean up some of the spillage there of the sealant. And then I'll show you how the rubber boot, the new boot, actually fits in here. And then I got a surprise from the day cab company as well. Okay, let's talk about boots. So this is the original style sleeper boot, and I purchased this a couple years ago when I actually put this bunk on the truck and then wanted to reseal because the old original boot was pretty rotten and was actually leaking water into the truck. So I purchased this one. Now the rings that were in the bunk and the original ring style is there's two little, there's an edge. And what happens is the sleeper boot just snaps down onto that edge. Now what I did was I used some of this 3M black super weather strip, and I just put a little bead all the way around. If you go back in the episodes, you can actually see that when I did that. But so I put that on the edge, and then you just basically snap this down. You can see the teeth here that catch it, and then you just squeeze it all the way around, and then there's an overlap at the end that, because this is just all kind of one piece, right? It's not a loop. And the overlap at the end, where you overlap the two pieces, I just use silicone to try and seal that up at the bottom. Now, these are obviously the newer 379, and I think even 389 still use these style rings, where it's a different means of sealing the boot in there. Now, the boot is an actual ring, so it's not just a one piece, so you don't have to worry about overlap. And the way it works is there's two raised edges. So to see these two triangular pieces, and what those go into is the corresponding groove in the inner and the cab and the bunk ring. So that'll just snap down in there like that, and then you'll just have to actually push that all the way in. So what I might do is same thing, put a little bead of this 3M sealant in there when I put the bunk back in place, and I just have to push this all the way in, and it just snaps in there like that and all the way around. So there's no overlap, there's no wrap around, there's no grabbing an edge. It's just this little triangle piece fits right into that slot on both the inner and the outer ring. Now here it's a bit of a bear to get that in there, but that'll come later. Now, the interior panels that the day cab company made me, they're gonna be too big now, because obviously the original hole was somewhere in here. So the panel's gonna come all the way over. So when I actually start putting the interior back together, I'll put the interior panel in there, screw it in on the front, wrap it around, and then where it stops, I'll just mark it out with a marker, and then just cut that backing, the fiberboard backing, and then cut the material and then wrap it around and then screw it in. So I don't think it'll be that big of a deal, but it's gonna be a bit of work, but it's nothing that can't be done. But one thing I needed from the day cab company was a larger sleeper boot to match this Unibuilt larger opening. And they were able to make me, because obviously they made the interior for this truck, so they knew what material it was, and they were able to make me a new sleeper boot. Wow, that's the sleeper boot. This is kind of the upholstery boot that goes around that. So look at that, isn't that nice? Oh, they even did it in a diamond stitch. That is gonna be cool. Oh, that's interesting, that's a new style. So the bottom is just Velcro. So this will go all the way around to cover up again once the sleeper's back in place and this rubber boot's there. This is to cover up that and make it look all pretty. So that's what that's gonna look like. That's gonna be sweet. And then at the bottom, we've got it carpeted, but it's actually Velcroed and snapped in. It's pretty slick. So thank you, day cab company, for sending me that. As I mentioned when I started this project, if you want to do a big hole conversion, you reach out to Truck Shrouds. They'll send you the kit, they'll get you the Huck gun, get you all set up. And then, like I say, take your time laying it all out. You'll have to move your bunk back. Lay it all out. And then start cutting. Measure twice, cut once. You cut the openings, then you huck it all in there, and then you put your bunk back. Put your rubber boot in, and then reach out to the day cab company. What you can do is send your original interior boot to them, and they'll do their best to match it up. And they know the dimensions of this larger Unibuilt size. So just tell them you need a Unibuilt upholstery boot and send yours in, so they'll try and match up the material and the style, if it's just straight cut or it's diamonds or whatever. And then they'll send you that, and that way you'll be able to redo your interior with this larger opening. So yeah, with that, I guess I am done with the big hole conversion, at least for now. I say until I put the bunk back in place. So thanks again to the day cab company for making me a new upholstery boot. Thanks to Truck Shrouds for hooking me up with the big hole conversion kit. Thanks to Blake for helping me put the corners in. Oh yeah, and Truck Shrouds supplied me with new cab corners as well, the 379 cab corners. So need to do a little bit of work on there. They're slightly different. So I'll have to fill in some of these holes here. We'll have to drill 4 new holes for the upper exhaust bracket. And then down here at the bottom, have to relocate these. These are up too high, so we'll fill these in and then re-drill the holes down where there's more solid material to mount that in there. And then I did pick up some rivet nuts. These are the little inserts that go in like that. See, those holes are too large. So we'll close those up and we'll drill the right size holes for those. And there's 4 of them. And then what I'll have to do, like normally with these rivet nuts, there's a tool. When I drilled the holes on Snowman, I use this special tool that squeezes, once you put it through the fiberglass roof shell, it squeezes those out, flares it out, and it's like a rivet, and then it holds it in place, and then you got the nice threads to screw your cab lights down on. Now with this, what we'll do is, Blake's got an idea where he can actually, we'll run a threaded bolt through there, and then put a bunch of washers and a nut, and then just impact it in. And what that'll do is it'll pull it through, flare this out, and then lock it in place. That way we have something to bolt the exhaust bracket to and hold the exhaust on the truck. So that'll come in a future episode. But yeah, I think for now, I'm gonna park the big hole conversion project. I've gone pretty much as far as I can for now. So with that, I'm gonna actually start doing a little more body work on the Peterbilt, because again, I've got to get this ready to paint this spring. Okay, so ever since I started, well, not since I started TwinStick Garage, but since I started doing my own auto body work and my own paint work, when I was working on Snowman, I was trying to find, I tried a whole bunch of different techniques to clean the paint around the Huck rivets, around the heads on the outside. And I tried this little roll-lock plastic disc with all these little plastic fingers or rubber fingers, and that worked pretty good, but the problem was after about 10 of the rivets, it was worn out and I had to get another one. So I was just going through those too fast, so that didn't really work. I tried using Scotch-Brite pads with this little angle grinder, and that worked pretty good, but it's very tedious to go all the way around the Huck rivet head. And I haven't really been able to nail it on the very efficient way of cleaning the paint around the Huck head without actually just grinding the Huck head flat, which is what a lot of lazy bodymen do. So I've been talking about it, and someone commented in an earlier episode about this Scotch-Brite rivet cleaning disc. So I actually found one on Amazon. Now it's got like 3 or 4 or 5 layers, and I don't know, do you just go, because I can't imagine, why would you have 5 layers if you're only going to use this face? So I wonder if you use it sideways, and it maybe cleans the paint out that way. So I'll maybe try and see if I can use this with a drill. Yeah. I was also mucking around on the interwebs there. I can't remember if it's Instagram or TikTok. And I saw this AirCat pneumatic tool, and it looked pretty slick, so I had to order one. And it's just like an air angle grinder, but it's like it's got a jitterbug action. So you can either use the circle, I'll probably use the circle. See, it's got like an oscillating action there. So that might work actually pretty good. All right, so that's actually working pretty good. This is a slick little tool. AirCat, they're not a sponsor, but I'm pretty happy with that. I just picked it up on Amazon, but it is loud as hell. You definitely want hearing protection when you're using it. But I like the fact that it's got such a small size. It's actually pretty slick to kind of get in to these kind of, tight spots where a larger orbital would just be just horrendous to try and get in and nibble all that old paint out of there. And I might try the triangle one as well. This is obviously the circle, but the triangle might have a point, and it might help me get in there even more so. So I'll I'll give that a go. One thing is though, when they say oil daily, I think you're only supposed to put a drop of oil in there. I think I did the old trucker mentality, if some is good, more is better. And I put a little too much in because you can see the overspray. But that's no big deal. You can just use the good old brake clean to clean that off of there. But yeah, it's not the, I would say, I don't think it's the silver bullet, but it's definitely the most efficient way I've found so far to go around Huck rivets and get them cleaned up. So that's what, maybe a dozen. There's probably about 400 more to go, but I'll keep using that. Now, before I went any farther, I also was thinking, I forgot that Demolari, they're the guys that sent me some lights that I put up above. They sent me a couple of these LED parking lot lights. And obviously I don't have a parking lot, but I thought I could use these for painting. Now, they've got a solid mount, so what I need to do is, I've got to figure out a way, I've got to get maybe some square tubing, and then, I don't know, weld them onto something with casters, so I could roll them around the shop, or maybe old wheels, is kind of what I was thinking. But I wanted to give this a try, so I just put a plug on the end of it, and I'm just going to set it up here on my table, and see if I can't get a little bit of additional temporary lighting. Oh yeah, that is awesome. Now I can see what I'm doing. Getting to be an old guy without all these bright lights. I can't really see in the edges, but now I can really see what's going on. So thanks, Demolar, for sending me those parking lot lights. I've just got to get them set up, like I say, on some sort of stand, but that is mint. All right, so I got the triangle end, and I just placed it down on one of the circle Velcro sandpaper discs, and I just cut the three sides, so now I got a triangle disc. Oh, beauty, look at that. That is the ticket. Yeah, this little tool's growing on me. So, to keep it interesting, because this is very boring work. You think it's boring to watch, try actually doing it. So like I was saying, to keep it interesting, I'm going to switch it up a bit. And try and use different tools. Okay. Plus this will go a little quicker on the larger sections. Well, I think I've just about had my fill for one day. So a little bit more, probably about 2/3 of this side panel is sanded. But I mean, it's getting to be a nice finish. This will really accept an etch primer nicely. And then that 2K high build will go on there pretty sweet. So one thing I realized as well is I need to order more of these little Velcro discs. So I'll have to pick a bunch of those up from Amazon so I can continue to use this, because that was my last one right there. So I think with that, I do believe I have earned my treat. Oh, we're not out of Coors yet. There's still a little bit left. Ah, sweet. Oh boy, that's tasty. All right, so Top Don was nice enough to send me a battery tester, and I was actually going to test it out today on Snowman because I think a couple of the batteries are giving me a little bit of trouble. But in order to fully use that tester, you actually got to start the truck up and then idle it up, and it gives you a whole breakdown. And I was going to actually work on the Trans Am today, but I would have had to drive the Snowman truck outside. Now, it probably would have started because it's warm in here, but then if I thought, if I leave it outside minus 40 all day, it'll be awfully hard on the old Cummins. So that's why I pivoted to working and finishing up on the big hole conversion. But in the next episode, I'm going to start tackling the Trans Am. Vivor was nice enough to send me a transmission jack, so I can drop that out of there. And then there's still a little more work to do underneath. I might drop the fuel system as well, the tank, take out the rest of the exhaust, and start working on all the stuff underneath. So that'll come in the next episode. Again, thanks a lot to Truck Shrouds. If you need anything for your fan shrouds, for your Peterbilt or your Kenworth, or any hood parts or cab parts, cab corners, go check them out at truckshrouds.com. And then another reminder that ATHS, great organization, aths.org, the American Truck Historical Society. Once you become a member, they send you these Wheels of Time magazines, which are just mint. They've got old trucks and awesome stories. And there's a cool one there, Edison Motors. An excellent company. Chase Barber, I believe, is the owner of the company. He's a real authentic trucker. I follow him on Instagram. Classy, classy guy. And they've actually built their own electric truck. There it is there, with a where the driver sits in the center. There's videos of it on YouTube, so go check them out. And it's a hybrid. Unlike the Tesla truck, which is full electric, this is a hybrid where there's diesel over electric. I think that makes a lot more sense in the trucking industry because full electric, your battery dies, you're dead in the water. And I'm not a real big fan of electric vehicles. It's not like I don't like the emissions. I mean, you still need to generate electricity. Everyone thinks that electricity is clean. It comes from the wall, but you still need to generate it. Now, of course, if it's hydro or nuclear, then that's clean energy. But most of the time it's coal or gas-fired generators, which is the business that I work in my day job. But anyway, electric vehicles, they do make sense. I suppose the carbon footprint is less than an old, diesel engine like I got in the old Cat in my Peterbilt here. But I don't like the idea of full electric because hybrid makes more sense because you're not dead in the water if your batteries die. Now, someone commented on earlier on the Hunt episode and they said, oh, well, the future's going to be the batteries. You just pull in because, of course, it takes time to charge these, right? And someone was saying you just pull in to the truck stop in the future and they'll just swap your batteries out and away you go. Well, okay, that would definitely cut down on the time, but those batteries are heavy, A, and B, then you got to make twice as many batteries or 4 times as many batteries, and there's a lot that goes into digging all the ingredients for these batteries out of the ground. So I don't know. I'm not fully sold on electric vehicles yet, but I like what Chase and the guys are up to with the hybrid. I think that makes a lot of sense. So go check them out. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up there. It was a good day. At least I got the rings in, and they're ready to go. And started on the bodywork. I mean, there's always going to be lots and lots of bodywork to get this thing ready for paint. But I figure maybe each week I'll try and tackle one panel and just keep working my way around. And yeah, with that, I'm going to wrap it up there. Thanks for watching as always. Appreciate your comments, good, bad, or otherwise. Go ahead and hit the like button. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do that too. Hope to see you next week. And don't ever forget, if you got it, a trucker brought it.